Give me few minutes and I'll make you successful. Today's video is aimed at creating a very concise material that you can review back in time to see if you're making progress. So let's get right into it. The first one is to review possibilities or recognize possibilities. There's infinite possibilities around you. I want to let you know that every single thing you want to achieve has already been done by someone else. That's why the Bible says, follow them who through faith and patience has obtained the promise. So there are models you can look up to. I think it is stupidity to watch someone fall into a pit, struggle for 20 years, finally emerge and make that same mistake. It is madness. It is you who's twice as unwise because someone else has made the mistake for you. Majority of you know this to be true. Majority of you know what I'm saying to be a fact. But you want to make that same mistake to get a story to tell. So especially we as men. I see this in my own life, which I'm guilty of at times. There's an easy way to do something. There's a hard way. But because of my dogged work ethic, I would prefer to err in the opposite direction just to get a story. I quickly correct myself and say, if there's a way, if there's an easier way to achieve the same result, let's do it the easier way. I don't have to run through a wall when there's a door I can use to get access. You know, that kind of thing. So if it's a story you want, my friend, I guarantee you there are a lot of stories to get because success is a journey, it's not a destination. So if you can escape that hole, if you can escape that pit in which you would have spent 20 years trying to get out, there are so many pitfalls ahead that you yourself would have to skip, identify, emerge victorious, and draw victory lessons for that. So if that's your philosophy for jumping into obvious pits, then I have corrected it. There are so many pitfalls along the way for you to pioneer that experience. So I guarantee you that is not the only problem. So look at there are models that you can draw from their life and experience who would inspire you to do better. That's the first one. Recognize possibilities. Go out your window. I went out my house and I looked at the big buildings worth millions of dollars. So you are struggling saying there's no money, while there are millions of dollars surrounding you. All you have to do, I'm not recommending you brainstorm or you feel bad about yourself, but I want you to recognize the possibilities all around you. If you describe yourself as poor and destitute, yet around you there are millions of dollars, literally conglomerates and buildings, rental properties worth millions of dollars, then you're not as destitute as you think because your surrounding connotes to wealth. You just have not figured out how to get it for yourself, which is the first one. The second is do not put success on a pedestal. What do I mean by this? Success should not be this almighty thing you look at. Success should not be this glorious, holy of holy thing that you cannot attain. That the only way to get a taste of this success is when you visualize or live vicariously through someone else. Success should be a standard. We do not attract what we want. We attract who we are. So success is an identity. If you have the identity of a poor person, you would always be poor. I, have you seen people within 5 minutes of interaction between them with them and you already know they are poor. They didn't have to ask you for money. They didn't have to show you their bank balance, but there's something about them. It's like an identity. You mention a expedient amount of money and they go 100,000. Wow. Or those kind of exclamation, groveling and shuffling at every request. So success is an identity. If you can kill that poor version of you and adopt a new identity, you find out that things becomes easier for you. So is an identity. Don't put success on a pedestal. Don't block out your life. Adopt new standards. Once you adopt standards, yeah, success comes to you naturally. Would you eat chicken spilled on the floor like a dog? Hell no, you won't, because you have standards. So once you have standards, there's a certain reality that follows your standard. Focus on having standard, and success is just a byproduct. If you focus on number two, you never get number one. If you focus on number one, you get number two. This ties to my philosophy of solving problems with psychological solutions, not logical solutions. Logical solutions have already been tried, and it's most likely they fail, because that's what anyone will try and do. Solve problems with psychological solutions instead of making the train faster. Make the ride more enjoyable. One costs billions of dollars and thousands of hours of brainstorming, while the other costs pennies and is easier to do. So solve problems in your life with psychological solutions. We finish this point by a quote. We wrap this point up with a quote. You cannot solve the problem in your life with the current mindset that gave you the same problem. So you have to impute new information that comes to challenge status quo. That's number two. The number three, I'm sure you guys are going to hate this one, but hear me out. It's all your fault. Every single thing that happens in your life, you should take 100% accountability for it. It's not your parents' fault. It's not the baker's fault. It's all your fault. Early in my life, I used to think that it's demons. I used to blame every single thing that is wrong in my life. I attribute it to demons, because we live in a very spiritual country, and we are taught to attribute certain realities to the presence of demon spirits. So anything I see that is not going well in my life, I attribute it to demons. But the reality of it is, you're going to fail at the first time you try something. This idea that you gain instant success the first time you try something is a fallacy. Sure, there are exceptions, but exceptions do not disprove the rule. Unfortunately, my friend, generalization is how the world functions on. If I stroke a tiger, it will bite my hand. It might be in a nice mood, but I'm not willing to find out. In general, generalization is how the world functions on. So it's all your fault. Take 100% accountability. Now, I came to the reality that it is all my fault. I read a book, a passage in the Bible that talks about Nimrod Kush building that tower that will reach the heaven. If you look at that passage, between that scripture to when God changed their language, there was no talk of demons or spirits. It was just men and their mind. Once you impute something in your mind and you have the courage to speak it and begin taking action, it's only a matter of time before it manifests in the physical reality. You build two things. Everything in this world is built twice. First in your mind, then your physical reality. I can't remember the famous painter who said, I dream my paintings, then I paint my dreams. You first dream your life, you first dream that painting before you paint it out. So you think success before you materialize it in the physical realm. That's the third one. The fourth one is to remove all bad behaviors. Very often we are focused on adding new things. You watch a new video and you want to incorporate this new belief system or philosophy, which is good, by the way. I commend you for taking action. However, you do not change habits. You do not stop doing habits. You replace them. You replace the old habits with a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So there are certain behaviors that are keeping you poor. There are certain behaviors that are recycling seasons and certain realities in your life. You have to identify them, look for the local equivalent, and replace them. Back to my story on demons. So I took a honest review on my day-to-day activity, and I saw the loopholes and gaps in my experience. So anytime I catch myself wasting time, like anytime I do something that moves me forward to my goal, I'll feel this instant surge of dopamine. That reality or that experience would cause me to slow down my momentum instead of capitalizing on momentum. I will slow down, maybe take a nap or go get groceries, even though I can delegate the task. Do something. I mean, all of the stupidness of tasks becomes so alluring, even like washing that dish you're never going to use. So I anytime I catch myself doing something like that, then I remind myself, after you say demons are doing you, I remind myself, you see why you are where you are. You see why you are where you are. You see why you are where you are. Do not blame demons. Do not blame demons. So in being conscious and catching yourself, making that switch each and every single time. The fifth one is every single thing counts. Every single thing counts. Ties back to point four. When you catch yourself doing something, every single thing you do, ask yourself this question: does this move me to my most coveted goals? Does this move me towards my most coveted goals? If the answer is no, no matter how important, no matter how enjoyable that video game is, put it down. You must sustain the willpower and mental fortitude to suffer in the short term to enjoy the long term. The road to hell looks like heaven, while the road to heaven looks like hell. Be able to suffer in the short term to enjoy freedom in the long term. So every time you do anything, every single time you are engaged in any activity at all, ask yourself the question: does this move me towards my goal or not? If the answer is no, put it down. Number six, preparation. You have to be prepared for the good and the bad. You have to be prepared for every single thing. Because the reality of life is, no matter how old you are, no matter who you are on this earth, seasons of opportunities will always come. And to the degree you maximize it, is correlative to the level of your mental transformation. So you have to always be prepared for seasons of opportunity because they would come. And the only way you utilize them or in the presence of opportunities shows your level of preparedness. So if you didn't prepare during your days in the cave, your your results will become lopsided, and even worse, you might waste every single thing you have or that opportunity brings. Take for instance now, before now, when I was poor, like poor, I mean destitute, I will use my free time to learn about Gulfstream. I will use my free time to learn about luxury cars, read a biography on Steve Jobs, learn how the tech industry has evolved over time. I was learning all of this information, although I know there are no direct correlation to my finances, but it makes me an interesting character over time. It helps you to network better. I remember pitching someone an idea, and I made an allusion to something I read a while ago. I said, yeah, it's something like in the 1600s during the days of the aristocrats in Italy, Florentina. And I went on dishing him out of information after information, and I could see his face lit up, literally. So you see how this skill will help you establish better relationships, help you become better help you become better. If you're trying to network, it's a very good skill because now you're not just hitting the person with hard facts. You're showing the person that you're knowledgeable in all realms of human endeavor. You might not want to go through this route, but I'm just showing you the advantage. So you have to be prepared for the good and the bad. You have to start preparing yourself for those days you want to come. Do not just visualize the Rolls Royce. Do not just visualize having a good life and being able to pay your bills without anxiety. That is a good ideal or worthy ideal, by the way. But also visualize you doing the 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day work week. Visualize the good and the bad. Imagine you lose a family member and the financial responsibility falls on you, but you did not work as hard as you could have in your 20s, you would regret it, my friend. Or imagine meeting that your ideal partner. She's cool, she's blonde, she's brave, whatever your specifications are, but she has zero interest in you because you are fat, obese, uninteresting, and uncharismatic. You didn't build yourself to become the kind of man that will attract that level of partner. You will still regret. So seasons of opportunity will come, but to the degree in which you maximize them reveals your level of preparedness. As always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.